Okay, so just in case the amount of negativity that's been in my videos on this subject has been wearing on you, I'm going to actually say that this will mostly be a constructive video where I don't spend much time judging the lines I correct, more so than just, acknowledging they are among the worst in the show and are in need of fixing by the very nature of them being in this video at all. That said, the next chunk of this script is dedicated to me tearing the writer a fresh new asshole. So, if you don't want to sit through that, I will include a timestamp to where it ends in the description, provided I don't forget to do that, as well as I'm going to throw up the time that you can skip to on screen now. So for those who don't know, this is the same moron writer who made the Prime Wars trilogy. According to him, the PWT turned out wrong and isn't representative of what he's capable of making. According to this show, he's full of shit. Dude, I will respect you more if you just admit that you aren't good at this, rather than if you lie, claiming you have any talent whatsoever. Cause you are so blatantly bad at this, I have to question whether or not you are paying Hasbro to write this show. Not whether or not they are paying you, but whether you are giving them money so you can do a job for them. Because if you are doing this for free, you are ripping them off. Let me give you the best benefit of the doubt here. Maybe you wrote a sprawling story that was decent, and you completely ignored the fact that there were only 6 episodes to tell it in, which is clearly what happened, by the way. Not the decent part, but the story was obviously supposed to be huge and way beyond the scope of 6 episodes apart. So let's pretend that the plot you came up with was ruined when it was clearly hacked to pieces to fit the runtime it had to work with, because there are obvious horrific scars that tell us that's what happened. Giving you that benefit of the doubt, why the hell is your dialogue so bad? Amateurs don't make the same mistakes you do, and I would be astonished if you did this in more than one draft. I can't help but feel you are trying to pull some kind of producer-style tax-dodging scheme. Your lack of talent is so profound, you make Tommy Wiseau look like Mark Twain. Well, now that I've dressed down the writer about 1/100th the amount he deserves, let's start fixing his mess. Okay, the only way to save Megatron's whole speech is to just get rid of it. It's an in-character recap and it makes no sense. He would literally have to be insane to talk to a severed head. So there is just no fixing this. Put the information that you are trying to convey in a text scroll. The show would be better for it.
I suggest we take Section 12 offline and recycle their resources for Project Nemesis.
Another sector, Olay.
They are no longer manufacturing at a satisfactory rate.
And you feel Sector 12 will prove more useful to us in other capacities?
It is logical.
The level of unsubtle that conversation was is absurd, so here's how that gets fixed. Lord Megatron, I regret to inform you we seem to be falling behind. I suggest we shut down Sector 12 and divert their workers and resources to Project Nemesis. We can't keep taking sectors offline like this, Shockwave. Sector 12 is a munitions plant, and basing my calculations off all known reported Autobot sightings, I estimate we have 3,684,952,243,301 rounds of ammunition for every living Autobot on the planet. It is a waste of resources to allow them to continue. Shutting them down and diverting their workers and materials for use in Project Nemesis will not only stop the hemorrhaging, but actually allow them to prove valuable. Easy as that. There's just a hint of maybe something more sinister there, but the conversation would be easily taken on its face that they are just going to put the Sector 12 Decepticons to work on Project Nemesis, not consume them with it. And if you want there to be more suggesting the ultimate truth, you can just dial up or down Megatron's hesitancy to do it. The next bit would mostly be fixed by it being a conversation between Elita and Red Alert. Provided that they cut out the bits where it's clear that Jetfire was a con. If any of us were locked up, there'd be no one left to free us. Makes no sense. This line should have been, if the 4 of us were locked up. It's simple problems like that should never have made it to our ears. This conversation is bad, but if I took the time to correct every bad conversation, we'd be here for hours. They should not bring up the fact that this looks like it's a trap. It just makes them look foolish when it's sprung on them. They did not need to exposit this, but this is how you make it not suck. I was a little concerned you guys wouldn't be able to handle the ground forces while I waited for the Seekers, but your little plan seems to have worked out perfectly, Alita.
What's the status of Project Nemesis?
The harvest is unstable. Thanks to our forces from Sector 12, Project Nemesis will be a success.
There are times I envy your lack of emotion.
Deletion of my emotions was the most logical choice to increase my efficiency. Just as harvesting ineffective Decepticons and turning their sparks into energy is the most logical choice for our survival.
They might as well just hold up a big neon sign that says, "Time for exposition" on this part. Here's how you do this without beating the audience over the head with it. Shockwave, how is the processing coming? At a rate of 2.3 decaliters of energon for each spark we harvest on average, liquidating roughly 12,000 more Decepticons should have Project Nemesis working at optimum capacity. That estimate is on the low end, however, and would require the rate to remain consistent. There is a likely probability we will have to expend more troops to meet our goals. Sometimes I envy your lack of emotion. Emotions only make one less efficient and less capable of doing what is necessary. You should delete yours as well. Days like today. I consider it. There, it's not even that different, but it just flows so much better. Instead of directly saying stuff to the audience's face in the most blunt way possible, you just respect their intelligence enough to understand that they can figure stuff out like Shockwave has deleted his emotions without him saying, "I deleted my emotions." Now, you may notice that I'm being a bit wordier than the initial script. I can only imagine that the reason that all the characters' cadence was so languid is because they needed to stall for time so they'd have to animate less. And the writer didn't have the skill to expand the dialogue in a natural way. As a result, they just slowed down the way that everyone talked, so they had all the verbal gait of a tortoise's jog. Megatron should have just said enemies, not opponents. There's just something unnatural about opponents used in that sentence. That's a more nuanced problem than is typical for this show. That symbol you wear, so you're mercenaries. How is that so hard? Mercenary isn't a faction, it's a job. It just means you're a soldier for hire. The way it was originally phrased was so heinous. I never pointed this out before, but what does he mean they have the means to find it? They just kind of know where it is for the whole season, but we have no idea how they tracked it. And do what? Stand around while he talks? That line should have been cut. There is so much wrong with this interaction, I can't fix it because I have no idea what's supposed to happen. They just kind of talk and say nothing. Like, what do the Quintessons want? And why have they captured the Autobots? It's never explained. I can't fix it when I have no idea what the goal was. What did they want said in this conversation? Cut this whole interaction because it never amounts to anything. Instead of the nonsensical plea to join them, what she should have said was, we could end the factions, end the war, and find a better way together. That would anger him because he doesn't want the war to be over, or stop being a Decepticon. Again, it's a very minor change, but it would show that he really is the warmonger he acts like Prime was. You don't have to change much to get these lines to start making sense. Nothing the Quintessons do makes sense, and I can't correct it. This should be, I thought I was protecting Cybertron, but in my efforts to keep the Allspark out of Megatron's hands, I've done immeasurable harm. Even if it's too late, I have to make amends for my mistake. But I would hope you would come with us. I'm already wearing the faction symbol, aren't I? Cut all of this except for them saying that they are going to Nebulon Station. The rest is useless. Cut, I must ask. No one talks like that. If anything, it should be, I'm sorry to ask.
They still search for us.
No one talks like that. It should have been, they still haven't stopped searching for us?
Alpha Trion used to say, we are the only obstacle that blocks our way forward. Great philosophy, Optimus. But right now, that gigantic space station is in the way. Not us. He also used to say, sometimes you just have to blow scrap up.
That was dumb. Here's how you make it not dumb. This reminds me of something Alpha Trion used to say. We are the only thing that blocks our path, but sometimes you just have to blow scrap up. Here, let me fix that. Power's offline, turning on the emergency backup. Are you sure that's wise? Sure, whatever. You already know how I'd fix this scene.
We must run ahead, John, and our sparks need full security.
That was dumb. Cut out the spark spit and it's the exact same statement without the extraneous concept. So, we're stuck here and we fade into obscurity. Appearances can be deceiving. Stay alert, this place may be more than meets the eye.
There's no salvation in the transmission. Only death.
No one talks like that. How about anyone who responds to that transmission is doomed? Line makes no sense in context. Cut it. This conversation is dumb. The way you left the planet, there wasn't enough energon to support 1/100th the population. We were starving. Our only salvation was to build a ship and leave our home behind. If there wasn't enough energon to survive, how did you build and power a ship? Because of your arrogance, I had to cull the resources I needed from my own men and what few Autobots were left. There. Now Prime's not asking questions about non-suspicious statements.
Meting out judgment, old friend. You sound like a Quintesson.
How about this? So we're to die for the crimes you've invented yourself. Why don't we get a Quintesson to preside? They'd be the perfect judges for this mock trial of yours. I know exactly where to find one. Your crew is safe, but more importantly, I sense the presence of the Matrix. You bear it within your chest. Wow, almost nothing of Episode 5 was so bad it needed rewrites. I'm not fixing this part. This part is not worthy of fixing. You know, honestly, this whole episode is beneath me fixing. So, considering I've spent the whole video being an editor, how about I editorialize a little further? Don't worry, this isn't me rewriting the show. That is still coming. This is me taking what's there and restructuring it so it works better. For starters, we are going to take episode 2 and 1 and swap them. Chop out all the scenes on Cybertron and move those to episode 1, which is now episode 2. Use the openings this creates to flesh out the Quintessons and what they want. Then go through episode 1, now in slot 2, and severely curtail it. Remove Megatron's base inspection and have the Autobots get captured almost immediately. Explain the spark stealing bit through that, and have Megatron get contacted by the Mercs. Then they immediately leave on the Nemesis, allowing the Autobots to escape. Putting an episode between the last time we saw Prime's crew makes it feel like it takes them longer to get to Nebulon Station and gives you a better sense of scope and time. Here we make some of the biggest changes. On the other side of the space bridge, it's the dead universe, and we basically roll episode 5 into 3. Here Prime self-actualizes with Skylynx. Prime frees Skylynx onto the station, where Skylynx battles with Scorponok. That basically accounts for episodes 3 and 4. You can either have them all escape, or you can have Skylynx not make it fast enough for when the timers go off on the bombs, and he dies there. At which point the station would be severed in half, and before Prime's crew can go through the space bridge, the Nemesis comes out of it. Throughout the season, you establish that Galvatron may or may not be in Megatron's head, as it's pointless for Megatron to learn his powers in the dead universe, so that doesn't happen. But he does direct Megatron to steal the Matrix of leadership, and Galvatron eventually gets dragged away by some force, letting you question whether or not Megatron is actually crazy. Now, the two ships do battle. Cut back to Cybertron, where the events from episode 6 happen in 5, resulting in the explosion that kills everyone back to space. The two ships begin grappling with each other when the Quintessons arrive. Episode 6 is mostly unchanged, save for Megatron noticing that Prime is now stronger after the dead universe, and what ultimately disables the ships is the space bridge exploding when they all end up getting sucked through it, and causing them all to crash on Earth. Oh, and the forgive me part would be cut. There, I've restructured the plot into a much more cohesive narrative with so many fewer diversions. And that's not half of what I have to say, but it's enough of what I have to say. And if you enjoyed this video, then please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me waste your time.